be more realistic in their aspirations? Because when President Mubarak was removed from office, people tended to think what was being propagated is that he has certain money which he illegally took, and this money would be returned and distributed to people. You know, someone will walk by and give you like a couple of million.
Counted about.
I mean, this is what. But this is how people were thinking, that once he's removed, this is how easy things will be. Do you think after the past 3 years that most of the people, or a good percentage of them, don't really have their feet more on the ground now than they did in the past?
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you. Especially the youth, women, and everybody. I think, yes, we are 3-4 steps better than what we used to be. But again, it is, we are a very emotional country. And they have very high emotions, and you know, everybody, a lot of people fell in love with Sisi. So this is, you know, you don't want to disappoint them. This is the issue. It's a matter of disappointment. They think Sisi did something miraculous by protecting the country. It is equivalent to rescuing the country. Okay, you did 50% of the job. The other 50% of the job, go ahead, get your magic wand out of your pocket, and let's see how clever you are. I think he needs a very good parliament. He needs a very good government. He needs 2 or 3 vice presidents with assignments.
Which we'll be discussing in a few moments.
Expert group.
Dr. Hussein, will he be running or won't he be running? And can't he afford not to run?
Well,
we have an opinion of yes, he will be running. We have an opinion of no initially, and then he will be carried whether he likes it or not to the presidential seat.
Well, as I said before, Egypt is not running any kind of election, smooth election. We are running into difficulties, and we don't have what you call the time of leisure to go for another election.
No, but this will all be done within.
No,
I mean, he's going to be carried to the office in a few days.
This is somebody will take this sign as it is not a democratic way. But when General Sisi or Admiral Marshal Sisi is going to step down from the army by his will, and become a civilian like any other Egyptians, and he goes for the election, if he wished to do this.
Will he do this? This is my question. Do you think he will do this, or do you think he will?
The choice of saying no to the will of the Egyptians is 0.
So we go back with the same formula that it would be difficult to say no.
I'm saying 0. Why? Because I told you that Nasser have resigned in 1976 on air.
And this was
no, watch out. Whatever Mr. Hassan, Engineer Hassan said, Nasser was carried and pushed by the people because, as he said, yes, the Egyptians are emotional and they want to carry him and put him back into power. So this is no time. He's going to run the election. But please, can we have very good and suitable people to go against him or go with him running the election? That's the important.
We can speak about going with him.
When we talk, but we have 15 minutes left, so please, I'd like you to focus a bit your answers. Before we go into should he, whoever it is the president, the candidate is, should he be running alone or should he be running with a team, like a vice president, for example, or vice presidents, so that initially we know that this is Mr. X is running and Mr. Y will be the vice, should anything happen even to Mr. X. Should this be the formula or not? We'll be discussing that in a few moments. But before we do so, the fear of disintegration and further division. We discuss this numerously when it comes to political parties. The fact that liberal political parties are very much divided and there are so many of them, this funnels down to one thing, which is division at the street level. Division at the street level when it comes to parliamentary elections is one side, but when it comes to presidential elections, it's something that definitely we cannot afford right now. When Muhammad Shafiq was, or Ahmed Shafiq rather, when he was asked about whether or not he will be running again for presidential elections, should Abdel Fattah al-Sisi be running, he said outright no. This was aired in a colleague's interview
to this, and he
a couple of days ago, that he will not be running so as to not divide the Egyptian street. Yet another military man, Sami Anan, is fully announced, I believe, a couple of days ago, that he has the intention thus far of nominating himself. If this is the case, is there a fear that this would do any subdivisions, and more importantly subdivisions within our military, which is really the concern here? Or will this have no weight? The probabilities here.
I don't think that the nomination of Marshal Sisi finished the game with high probability, and I think I can tell more that I think Dr. Ahmed Shafiq is supporting Mr. Sisi.
He said it outright that he's.
I myself know by myself. He is supporting Mr. Sisi, and then I can tell that I have sent a message to him through his brother, Dr. Muhammad Shafiq, and I asked him many things, and my feeling is that he's strongly supporting Mr. Sisi.
He announced it out loud.
And Mr. Sami Anan also, I can guess that he is strongly supporting.
But he said he will be running for the presidential elections.
He is speaking because he mentioned he held some meetings, and he is going back step by step.
So you're saying that if Field Marshal Abdel Fattah al-Sisi announces officially that he is actually running for the elections,
all the military personnel will stop.
Not run.
Will stop.
Okay.
Because they know the answer.
Okay.
I think Mr. Sami Anan should be wise enough not to go into the coming elections, because I think there is some answers that were not given to the people in Egypt, and I think his fingerprints still appears on what happened to Egypt in the last couple of years, since the 19th of March referendum and so forth, and the constitutional amendments that they had, and the constitution first or the presidential elections.
Which was a wrong start.
We started on the wrong foot, and we suffered from that. So
yes.
Actually, I think if the president will run, Mr. Sisi will run, I think he will not find anybody to compete with him except Abdel Abdel Fattah as the Muslim Brotherhood candidate. This is in my opinion.
And they are divided.
Whatever it is, this is their problem. But I think the Muslim Brotherhood will have a candidate to run against whomever will run to the office, whether Sisi or anybody else. We will see a situation where if Anan and Abdel Fattah will run, this will be their running against one another, actually.
Lovely game.
Yes, because actually I think Mr. Anan will be supported by the Muslim Brotherhood. Okay. So we have a situation here. But I think the popularity...
You think a military man will be supported by the Muslim, or a former military man will be supported by the Brotherhood?
Yes, because from things that I've seen in the past, the committee that amended the constitution, it was Sabhi Saleh and Tariq al-Bishri, and it was approved by Sami Anan and Mushir Tantawi, Field Marshal Tantawi. And Sami Anan, it is obvious that there is some coordination, or he's convinced that the Muslim Brotherhood was the group of people that were organized enough to run the country. We actually need to hear. We do not have anything so-called hearing sessions in Egypt. We don't know who tried to assassinate Omar Suleiman. We don't know what is the role of Sami Anan in giving the country away to the Muslim Brotherhood. We don't know really what instructions he was given when he was in the United States 48 hours before the revolution. We need to know all this. We need to know. The Egyptians will not stop at nothing. We are freedom lovers. We will get our freedom.
I think all the files are being opened right now. And
I
it's just
think-
a matter
Yes,
of
all
time.
the files will be
It's like a
open.
domino.
I think the only pure person who risked his life and his career for his country was Sisi. Full stop. I mean, he have proven that he's patriotic beyond doubt. And actually, the man is under extreme pressure.
Well, maybe this is one of the criteria we need
I think
to
Miss-
add to the upcoming president, the patriotism.
I think
This
Mr.
is an
Ainan,
old-fashioned word. It's been not being used in politics anymore.
I think Mr. Sami
we
Anan,
prefer the old-fashioned formulas.
I think Mr. Sami Anan is clever enough to keep himself far from corruptions.
Okay. Another issue, which is the vice president, and we have 10 minutes left, and we still have to address another very critical issue, but let's quickly touch on the vice president. Should the upcoming Egyptian president run solo, or should we know from the beginning who our leadership is? Because it's not just the president, but the vice president or vice presidents are also in the presidential seat, so to speak. Should we know who they are from the beginning, or is this not important?
Absolutely, yes. Anyone is going to run the election, whatever his name, whatever he is, what party he belongs to. We have to know who is the second person, who will be his future plan team, and why did he choose them. And we would like to listen to them and hear them also, and not